On November 13th, Felix Unger was asked to remove himself from his place of residence. That request
I'm
came
getting
from
a
his
note
wife.
from corporate
Deep
saying
down,
the
he knew
neutral
she was
ground
right.
with Corey
But he also
Johnson has
knew
been
that someday he
canceled,
would
and we're
return
going
to
to
her.
play reruns of The
With nowhere
Odd
else to
Couple.
go, he appeared at the home of his
find that
friend
quite
Tosca
odd.
Madison. Several years
I think we
earlier,
need to go to La Jolla,
Madison's wife had thrown him
California,
out,
where
requesting that
Mr.
he
Drew
never
Brees
return.
resides, number
Can
9.
two divorced men share an
Saints
apartment
Hall of
without
Famer to
driving
help
each
us
other
out.
crazy?
That's right. It is New Orleans. Thank you, number 9. Corey Johnson back at you. A Thursday afternoon edition of the program. I see a low of 68 degrees in New Orleans future in the next week and a half, the 10-day forecast. 68. One of the low temperatures to start the day. That's some good news. Looks like we've got a new police chief. That's some good news. And Kirkpatrick joins us on the program this afternoon. How are you, Chief?
Hey, Corey, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, a pleasure to have you. I like that accent. I was about to say welcome to New Orleans, but you're from Memphis, right up I-55. You know the city?
You know something, that is hometown, and so I'm a Southern lady.
Yep, no doubt. Do you know New Orleans, like just growing up in Memphis? Because, you know, a lot of Memphis people know New Orleans, vice versa.
Oh, of course. When I was in, I think, ninth grade, our ninth grade class took the bus drive down to New Orleans to go to our class trip. So
nice.
I have been a tourist of New Orleans on several occasions. So this actually opportunity has been fantastic for me. It's such a world-known and a world-class city. Everyone knows about New Orleans.
Yep. Hey, Chief, I'm assuming you were the first female chief at just about every place you became chief.
Well, that would be true, yes, but you've already had a female chief. You had interim Woodfork, and so she is the one who should be given the credit of that distinction. But as far as a permanent chief, yes, I have been the first chief, and everywhere I've been.
No, but you're correct. Woodfork's first. You'd be the first full-time chief. Hey, what attracted you to this job?
Well, this job is, first of all, New Orleans is wonderful. The police department actually has a very good reputation in the country. I've been connected nationally within the law enforcement community, and New Orleans is an agency that is on the radar. As far as being progressive, there are many things about New Orleans Police Department. They've accomplished so much in reform. The men and women are really, really the top. And so I was attracted for many reasons, but that is one of the reasons.
It's like a coach, the team's workable.
Yeah. That's a great analogy. The team, to be the head coach of this world-class team is amazing. So, yeah.
Hey, when you were interviewing for the job, you said the NOPD is bleeding out. What did you mean by that?
In a couple of ways. They are also so incredibly understaffed that their call loads, the amount of 911 calls that they handle and the amount of caseload that our detectives carry are exponentially higher than other agencies. And so you're grinding them out. In other words, they are working so hard without relief, and they're going call to call to call almost. And so they need help, and they need support, and they need support from their community. I understand the frustrations when people have to wait maybe several hours for an officer to show up, and they're, of course, going to vent on those officers, and that is not their fault. And so that is why I say they're bleeding out, they're hurting, and I think people want to support their officers, but they need to verbally support them and encourage them.
You've got like these local agencies that folks will compare you to, and it's not fair. It's inner city, suburbs, exurbs. It's not apples to apples, but it's still going to be a comparison. Kenner's like a 90-second response time in Kenner.
Sure.
Jefferson Parish is like 7 minutes, 9 minutes. New Orleans is like 7 or 9 hours. If you're lucky, maybe.
And that is not the officer's fault. And that's what I want the community to understand, that it's not their fault. They're going to go when they get the dispatch, but the dispatch has to triage the types of calls that come in New Orleans, which is violent crime. And so that's why I have to defend the officers strongly regarding that. And so I'm going to ask the community, as the chief of this agency for however long I am, please try to vent your frustrations, which are normal, but these officers need your support as well.
If it were 1, 2, 3, the big macro items, would it be crime, staffing, consent decree? You
got them. And that is exactly what I have already started to publicly share. Those are your big three. The crime here, the consent decree as an issue, and then, of course, recruiting, staffing, and retaining our officers. Those are the big ones. There are a lot of other things that we also need to address, but we've got a triage, and those are the big triages.
Looking at the three, how important is it for the NOPD to get beyond this federal consent decree? And from what you've assessed so far, how close are we, or how close is the NOPD?
Well, the NOPD is close. And they, through their 11 years that they've been under oversight, they have, like I said, nationally, they are known for being a turnaround agency. And so they are close. Now, getting out from under the consent decree is important, but what's more important than why any agency is under consent is so that the cultural changes occur, that the reforms occur, and that they're in place whether or not you have federal oversight or whoever sits in the seat as the superintendent. The idea is a transformation of how we police. And therefore, I will tell you that I do know that the police department is close, and we just need to get it over the finish line. And I think that we have a path forward for doing that.
What would you say to a critic that says, okay, 11 years, New Orleans consent decree. Oakland's been in one 20 years. Before you were chief, after you were chief. If you couldn't get Oakland out, how do you get New Orleans out?
23 years. I think that those are, the critics, that's going to be a fair question that people would say, why? But I do want you to have context. There have been 15 chiefs in Oakland during the being under oversight.
Wow.
And they've had 2 judges, 5 mayors. I mean, it gets to also be where in certain cities, the question is it the police department, or could it be there are times where abuses can occur associated with continuing the business of consent work. It is a lucrative field. I do know my assessment of New Orleans is that is not the case here, but it is an opportunity. Once a federal monitor leaves consent, that contract goes away. And so, but that is not the issue I see here at all, not even close. But I think that the numbers speak for itself in Oakland. And they just fired the chief right behind me.
Wow.
I mean, how many more chiefs are you going to go through?
Hey, Ann Kirkpatrick's with us for about another minute, NOPD chief. Hey, Ann, how do you get the police numbers up from like 925 to 1,500 cops?
Right. It is going to be how we recruit and how we get our message out. I want to encourage people who are listening, even in your listenership. I want people to think about a career in law enforcement where they didn't even think about ever going into police work. I was one of those people. Sometimes, and I'm sitting here with another officer who is a fantastic officer, and he never thought about going to policing. So this is a great profession. If you want to be a part of serving other people and you like people, this is a profession for people. So a lot of it is just getting the word out about what this profession could be. So the more numbers we have of people who are interested, then through the process, I think we can increase our numbers. I'll be the number one cheerleader and recruiter for this department.
Kind of last question or point, and you kind of mentioned a little bit of it earlier with community help, but you can even go a little further, I think. It seems like the only way, what you just mentioned, hyper-aggressive recruiting, Chief, along with hiring maybe 200, 300 civilians to do like the paperwork, et cetera. Stop wasting real valuable street cop time by making them do things away from the street. Anyone can do the side stuff, right?
Right. I absolutely don't disagree. As a matter of fact, I have been in an agency, Memphis is one, in which I was one of the original architects on a team for the police support technician program, which is highly successful. And you have some hybrids of that right now going on. But the idea of civilianizing certain positions, and there are types of positions that a person could have some authoritative powers given to them, but not full police commission powers. And so there are opportunities for civilianizing some of the roles. And
Kirkpatrick, thank you so much. I know you're ridiculously busy. Thanks so much for the time.
Yeah. Okay, Corey. Thank you.
Hope to visit with you again soon. That's Ann Kirkpatrick, New Orleans Police Department Superintendent. Corey Johnson with you. Coming right back.
Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
When a young man comes in and they walk into our store and you can see they're a little intimidated. Last week, I saw the young man. I said, "Hey, what can I do to give you a hand?" And he said, "Well, I'm here for an engagement ring, but I don't think I'm in the right place." So I got him to my desk, and within an hour, he had purchased an engagement ring, had spent $1,000, and he was treated like he spent a lot more, and I'm sure we have a customer for life. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations, New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
River Cities Total Maintenance keeps you cool, New Orleans. NOLAAC.com is your cool spot.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Ooh, Lord Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Lord Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
The French bread of the city of New Orleans. Good to the last crumb. Leidenheimer French bread.
Did you know Rouse's sells only Angus beef? Angus beef's natural marbling means more succulence and flavor. Whether you choose Rouse's USDA Prime, Choice, or Select, it'll be only Angus beef when you get it at Rouse's. Tastes like home.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on Magazine, as unique as you.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Veterans Boulevard, where the brothers Fausto and Roland are serving some of the city's finest Sicilian and Italian cuisine. From New Orleans' first family of Sicilian and Italian cooking, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com. Yeah, you right. Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson with you. If you miss Ann Kirkpatrick, NOPD chief, you can check that out on YouTube. And in just a few minutes, Anchor, iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff. I don't even know what half that is. I can't keep up with social media. I posted on Twitter the other day, I hope Elon Musk charges for Twitter so my undisciplined rear end can get off of the platform already. Oh, boy. Oh, geez. Quinn Hillyer joins us, right-leaning Quinn Hillyer. How are you, Quinn?
I'm fine, Corey. How are you?
Oh, man. That social media, it's like video games. I'm just sort of missing the trend.
Wait, which trend?
Social media. I said it's like video games. I don't play video games, and I'm not very good at social media, Quinn.
Well, I blather on Twitter all the time.
Me too.
I shouldn't be doing it as much as I do.
Me too.
But that's the only social media I know. I mean, I literally don't know how to use LinkedIn or Instagram or Pinterest. I think I'm technically signed up for all of those, and I don't know how to use them. Facebook, I sort of mumble through it or stumble through it. But my goodness, I can't keep up. I've got no idea what half of this stuff is.
Quinn, a much better addiction than that vicious crack cocaine addiction you had a few generations ago.
No, you got the wrong guy.
Could you imagine? I shouldn't even make jokes. Hillyer-Henican joins us. How are you, Ellis?
Hey, I got to tell you guys, I don't think this is a passing fad. I think the social media's been with us for a little while longer.
No, it is not a passing fad. Exactly.
I got to tell you, I'm stuffed and a little lazy. I had lunch in New Orleans at one of your favorite places, Corey.
Oh.
Lebanon's Cafe. You know that place?
Wow. Yeah, I know that place. Good for you.
I had a very nice lunch. I was going to have a nap if I didn't get on the phone with you and Quinn. So
you probably have a nice to-go container of stuff too.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Anyway, you good?
Yeah, doing well, Ellis. I heard Quinn. Quinn, you know Lebanon's?
Lebanon is very good. I'm glad that they advertise with you sometimes because I've been there maybe 4 times, and it's just superb.
It's another edition of Hillyer-Henican, right-leaning Quinn Hillyer, left-leaning Hillyer-Henican, joining us on the program. Hey guys, I don't really know where to start with Donald Trump. Maybe the Republican debate last night might be an indirect way, a better way to do it. He didn't show up at the debate. And I don't really think it matters one way or another. I think if he shows up or doesn't show up, I don't think hey, he only can hurt himself if he shows up. I don't think that even applies to Donald Trump. I think people that love him aren't moving off of him, and people that hate him aren't moving off of him. Ellis?
You know, I don't care about all this technical analysis about whether he can afford not to do it or whether he's going to win anyway. It's disrespectful. There's a candidate debate. Some guy's running for office. I feel the same way about Jeff Landry. He ought to show up at the debates. You run for office, you ought to go put your ideas face to face with your opponents, defend them, climb into the arena. This idea of I'm not showing up with the other candidates, I think it's insulting to the voters, and Chris Christie is right. He's Donald Duck.
Did you like the Donald Duck line, Quinn? What do you think? Show up or not? It's the needle's not moving, right?
Yeah, if you don't show up, you're a pathetic coward. That applies to Landry, and it really applies to Donald Trump. But then again, Trump is not just a coward. He's a liar. He's a crook. He's wannabe authoritarian. He's a lot of bad things. But yes, he is absolutely a liar, and he's ducking the debate. So yes, it does make him Donald Duck.
No, right. But I agree on that one. But on the other part, it doesn't matter. People that love him don't care if he's there or not. They're not going, wow, Quinn, lifelong conservative Republican. I looked into Quinn. Boy, we line up on about 95% of conservative thinking. But they're not going, yeah, Quinn's right. He's a coward. He should have showed up for that darn debate. I'm going with Christie. They're stuck on Trump.
Okay, let me answer your question like this, Corey, because it's a very good question and a very good point. But this is like the Hemingway thing about how you go broke gradually and then suddenly. First of all, we've got to always think that something can change for the better, and you never give up. But the second thing is there are all sorts of examples in politics of candidates who seem to be invincible and who suddenly just their whole support collapsed overnight. And perfect example, there in Louisiana, we all know it. Maybe we don't remember it as well, but 3 weeks before the David Duke, Edwin Edwards runoff, the freaking Nazi was in a statistical tie. He was only, I think it was 2.4 points down. 3 weeks later, he lost by 26 points. People can have, lots of stuff working in the backs of their mind, and they say, okay, I'm still for this guy or I'm still for that woman, but they might have doubts that they don't express. And then suddenly there's like a mass, they start to talk to friends, and friends have the same doubts or whatever. And then there's a mass shift, and they're like, no, I just can't go with them.
I think it's a great example. I really do. But also with Trump, sometimes doesn't that almost work the other way? Like they're sort of wink, wink, I don't know who I'm voting for gimmick, or maybe even say the Democrat thinking it's some like liberal pollster. And then they're going to go pull the trigger for Trump once they get in the voting booth.
Well, you never know. I mean, the
seems like he underpolls, which is scary because he's up by 3 times DeSantis.
Look, the Nazi used to say that I fly under the radar, and then all of a sudden he didn't, and he lost by 26 points. Trump, all of the whole last couple of months of 2022, the polls said Republicans had a slight edge in those congressional races. But everybody was talking about a red wave because Republicans had supposedly underpolled in the 2020 elections or whatever.
Yep.
But you know what? They didn't underpoll. There was no red wave. There was no example of Republican voters not admitting to pollsters what they thought. The polls were pretty accurate. And so you don't know. None of us know, but you've got to keep thinking, look, if you don't like Trump or you don't like this other person, you got to keep fighting because opinions can shift almost overnight.
Yeah, Alice Quinn mentioned 3 weeks. We're like 15, 18 months out. So anybody that thinks they know something that's just going to always be in the next day, week, month, year, decade, it's going to diametrically change. Change is the one consistent thing. I mean, so I guess anything can happen, Ellis, but boy, it seems insurmountable right now.
All of that is true, and politics does have these tipping points where you don't notice anything, and then all of a sudden the world is different. So I agree with all that, but my point is slightly different. I just think that regardless of whether it's effective or not, whether you can get away with it or not, and again, I apply this to Landry as much as I do to Trump, there's just something wrong about a politician who won't show up at a debate and test his ideas and defend his views and step into the arena with his opponents. I feel like as a voter, I deserve that. I deserve to be able to watch that guy go at it with the people who are his opponents, and let's test him and let's test what it is that he can do and what he's standing for and what he's running for. I don't know. Maybe I'll eat these words, but I don't think I'd ever vote for somebody who absolutely refused to show up for debates.
Yeah, I think any honorable person would agree with you. I would just think, I don't know. I can't even think of the rare occasion where you would skip a debate. But there's that political thinking. It's like these 3-game, college baseball series. You pitch your second pitcher on game 1 and your ace on game 2, hoping your second guy wins game 1. So, it's a tough call, guys. Quinn?
Look, I totally agree with what Ella said, and I think you should debate. I think if you don't debate, you're a coward. Now, that doesn't mean you have to show up for, if every little group wants you to debate every other night. No, you don't have to. But
if it can only hurt you, it's like it's a risk that you're taking.
Well, yeah, but you know what? Forget the political calculation. Ellis is right. If you have respect for the voters and it's, the major debate, if there are only, 3 or 4 of these major debates, you show up. And if you don't show up, you're a coward.
Yeah, I hear you. But the goal, you're the election guy. You're running the campaign. The goal, the objective is to score the touchdown to win. And throwing the football at that part of time in the game instead of just kneeling.
Then maybe voters will start to say, you know what?
I agree.
I feel insulted that you didn't show up. And I think, frankly, more voters should do that.
No, at this next topic, I think, Quinn, you talking about this honorable thing, I think that's your point on this next topic. When we come back, the U.S. Supreme Court sided with a lower court ruling. Alabama, their congressional districts violate the 1965 Voting Rights Act. An expert appointed by the lower court's going to redraw the districts, and there'll be 2 black majority districts. Coming right back.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
For over 20 years, serving healthy, fresh, authentic Middle Eastern cuisine, Lebanon's Cafe. In the Carrollton section of Uptown on the streetcar line, Wednesday through Monday, 11 a.m. to 9:30. Lebanon's Cafe.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We do in all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience. Right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
For Leidenheimer Baking Company, producing the perfect French bread is more than a vocation. It's a sacred mission. And for 5 generations, they've used the same time-honored process, baking their signature loaf with its crisp crust and delicate center, unique and still good to the last crumb. From the finest French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop, for over 125 years, New Orleans' own Leidenheimer.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in the design process of a custom-made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
When USA Today ranked the 10 best must-visit New Orleans restaurants for travelers, Mid-City's own Katie's made the list. USA Today says Scott Craig is chef-owner at Katie's, a much-loved Creole Italian eatery that draws armies of regulars for lunch, brunch, and dinner. A neighborhood spot where locals congregate and New Orleans-style hospitality rules. Indeed it does. Katie's in Mid-City.
1970 was an exciting time in New Orleans. The first Jazz Fest was held, the city hosted its first Super Bowl, and the first Helm Paint location opened on Earhart Boulevard. While the floppy disks, mood rings, and pet rocks may have come and gone since the 70s, Helm Paint has grown to become your premier source for quality Benjamin Moore products, competitive pricing, and personal service. Please visit one of our locations today and we'll meet our competitors' prices on any identical product. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
Yeah, you right. Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson with you on a Thursday afternoon. I love getting these guys on the program. Couple of New Orleans natives, national political pundits, book authors. They've been doing this for a long time. I guess book authors sort of semi-redundant. Quinn Hillyer with us, right-leaning Quinn. You can check him out via his website, Quinn with one N, Hillyer spelled Hillyer. QuinnHillyer.com, left-leaning Ellis-Henican. He's at Henican.com, Henican. Hey, I got an idea how both of you guys are going to think on this one. I feel I'm going to end up on Ellis's side on this one. The U.S. Supreme Court sided with a lower court ruling, Quinn. Alabama's congressional districts violate the 1965 Voting Rights Act. It's kind of a double whammy. First off, Alabama, 27% black population, 7 congressional districts. They have 1 black majority seat, 13.5% of the that would represent about 13.5% of the population. 2 of 7 is right at about 27%, like matching the demographic. So it's going to be 2 of 7 black majority districts instead of 1, matching the black demographic of the state. And then an expert, quote, expert appointed by the lower court is going to redraw the maps, not the Alabama legislature. Quinn, what do you think of this ruling?
Well, you probably don't know. I'm actually now part of this case. First of all, I don't care what the racial makeup is of any district, and I don't think the law requires us to care. I think the Supreme Court completely screwed up. But having screwed up, the Supreme Court must, its opinion, its decision must be abided by. And the Alabama legislature instead went and drew another district that basically thumbed its nose or stuck the finger or whatever you want to say at the Supreme Court and said, no, we're still going to try to do it our way. And they clearly did not comply with the Supreme Court. So I said, there's actually a middle ground here, and you do not have to and should not break up Mobile County and take all the blacks from Mobile County and put them in a district all the way across the state to the Georgia state line, and then take the whites and put them in another district that stretches to the Georgia state line, but you divide the whites from the blacks who live 2 blocks away from each other. That, to me, is racist. So I actually created my own map. I spent hours and hours on it. It's entirely, I've covered this stuff for 35 years. It's entirely compliant with the Supreme Court's order. It gives, it does create what's known as a black second black opportunity district. It would, on average, support black chosen candidates by 5.1 percentage points. And the court basically recognized that it is compliant. They did not choose my map, but my map has the virtue of not racializing everything. And so I feel very strongly about this. I think all sides are getting it wrong. But I think the main thing is we've got to stop looking at everything through the lens of race and start looking at commonalities like, oh, you live 2 blocks away from me. You shouldn't be in a different congressional district than me because we have the same economic interests. We have we go to the same grocery store. We are affected by the same roads and bridges, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Ellis?
Well, it would be nice if we didn't have to look at these things through the lens of race, Quinn, but it's not by accident that the Alabama legislature, Louisiana's done the same thing, create districts that look like snakes and end up giving the black people half the representation they deserve. And as soon as the legislature stops doing that, I guess I'd be willing to suspend my racial view. My problem with this is even deeper, though. I think gerrymandering is wrong. I think whether you do it for racial reasons or whether you do it just to advance the political interests of your own party at the disadvantage of the other party, it's wrong. And it's wrong whether Democrats do it, as they do in places like California and New York, and it's wrong when Republicans do it, as they have across the South and much of the Midwest. Voters have a right to have equal votes and have equal influence on their government. And I think that we got to get politicians out of this business and let fair-minded, reasonable, objective people do it, or let a computer do it. But the idea that selfish legislators ought to be deciding who their own constituents are, who they have to run against, how much they want to punish their opponents, I think it's just simply wrong, and that all people ought to denounce it for whatever selfish reason it's being done, whether racial, political, or any other reason.
Okay, actually, I agree that in theory gerrymandering is wrong. The very fact is that in order to create a second black majority district or a black opportunity district in Alabama, because of the distribution of the population, the only way to do that is to gerrymander these crazy districts that stretch from the Georgia state line to the Mississippi state line. The advantage of the original legislative map is it doesn't do crazy gerrymanders. What is a crazy gerrymander is what will be created, what has been proposed by the special master in order to create a second black majority district.
Quinn, it's not by accident. It is not by accident.
No, let
these states keep coming up with these districts that desperately and terribly disadvantage the people who are on the outs. In the cases we're talking about, black voters. But I mean, there's a long and ignoble history of this. We ought to just get away from the whole thing, I think.
Well, look, I support doing what Iowa does and having a neutral redistricting commission. I would be totally fine with that. But
good, let's do it.
Just get the facts right. The gerrymander here is what the court is ordering, whereas the more naturally shaped districts are what the legislature did. That is just a fact. Now, and it is also a fact that that what the legislature did is what the courts approved, almost to the exact same thing the courts approved in 2020. Approved in 2010, approved in 2000, and ordered in 1990. So all the legislature was doing was saying this is what the courts approved, and in one case ordered us to do for the last 40 years. And so now we're just doing the exact same thing, and suddenly you're telling us we're doing it wrong?
Well, listen, the surprise here, as you know, is that the Supreme Court made this decision, right? They have gone so far states to do, state legislatures across the country do a whole range of sleazy things to harm their political opponents. Fairness doesn't even seem to be relevant anymore. You can do anything in most of these decisions to allow the people in power to tighten their grip on power and screw their opponents any way they want. This finally, it went so far in Alabama and now in Louisiana, which is, as you know, one step behind. It has Corey have the math in his head, but it's pretty similar to the math.
It's the exact same thing. Alabama's has 1 of 7, 27% black. The math lines up for 2 for 7. Louisiana's 33% black, 1 of 6 exactly lines up for 2 of 6 to be black. But
we're next, right? We're next, right?
Yeah. Louisiana's going to fall. And it's like bucking the trend right now. What we usually do, like back car into ditch, a full tank of gas, spin wheels, car moves nowhere, burn entire tank of gas. We're spinning our wheels by definition. But yeah, I think ultimately what the Supreme Court ruled for Alabama, Louisiana is almost a mirror image.
Yeah, 3 points. Number one, the Supreme Court itself is bound by the Constitution, and whether we like it or not, the Constitution specifically said this is a political question, and therefore it will be decided by the legislatures on political grounds. Point number 2 is the Supreme Court has actually reined in the gerrymanders, not allowed much more to happen. It's much tighter governed than it used to be. Number 3, it depends on how it's not a straight mathematical thing, because it depends on where the population lives. In Louisiana, the bizarre shaped districts, the districts are much more bizarrely shaped than they were in Alabama. Frankly, the case against the Louisiana districting is that there's racial animus there is stronger than in Alabama. Alabama did not do anything different this time than it did the last 30 years, and the one that it was done in 1990 was ordered by the Supreme Court, not done by the state legislature. So we got to deal with facts, and the fact is Alabama didn't do anything different. They didn't go over and above, but the other fact is the Supreme Court made its ruling, and Alabama has to follow it, and Alabama didn't follow it, and therefore it's getting its just desserts, because it had a chance to go back and do what the Supreme Court said, and the legislature did not do it, and so now it's getting slapped down.
Yeah, and a lower court's going to have an expert draw the map instead of the legislature doing it, and it's going to be 2 of the 7 seats. We'll come back in a second, guys, finish up with that topic and more. Another edition of Hillyer-Henican. Corey Johnson with you on a Thursday afternoon. Don't go anywhere.
Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
For over 120 years, New Orleans' very own Leidenheimer French bread.
Being a part of people's lives, from an engagement ring to a wedding band. Before you know it, the wedding day is here, and groom and bride are exchanging gifts on that day. And not too long after that, there's baby gifts to have. And I just enjoy being part of other people's family, saying, Mr. Friend did my engagement ring, and he did my mom and dad's engagement ring. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
From the owners of Katie's in Mid-City and Bienvenue in Harahan, an old school deli with over a dozen specialty sandwiches. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, it's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
What actually lasts a lifetime? Not much, but at Helm Paint, we have something guaranteed to last a lifetime. Benjamin Moore's Regal Select. This paint and primer in one offers cutting-edge waterborne technology, smooth application, and long durability. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, your New Orleans paint store.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port NOLA has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day. By river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
It's time to relax. The Woodhouse Day Spa, Metro New Orleans' premier day spa experience, now with 5 area locations. For a day of relaxation or maybe just a quick 1-hour getaway, the Metro area's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa. And now 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and our newest location in Mandeville, the Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets has daily lunch specials Monday through Friday, and their entire lunch menu is available too. Open 11 a.m. through 2:30 p.m. For the finest in Sicilian and Italian cuisine, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
I looked at the 10-day forecast. I saw a 68, 69 degrees to start one morning coming up. Summer's finally behind us, or really close. And then I look at today's temperature, 84, but feels like 90. Air conditioning, heat help, whatever you need, River City's Total Maintenance is there. They're honest air conditioning and heating experts that come immediately. What more do you need? Honest air conditioning and heating experts that come immediately. Find them at NOLAAC.com, NOLAAC.com. It's another edition of Hillyer-Henican. Hey, Quinn, you mentioned Iowa. I mean, I don't know the demographics of Iowa. I'm assuming it's 90% white and, you know, kind of potato soup, not gumbo. Coming down into the South, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Most black folks in the South, I mean, I'm guessing it's 90+%, 85+%, or Democrats, liberal, outside of like abortion and homosexuality, where they're fairly conservative, generally speaking. These are liberal Democrats. White people in the South, generally speaking, maybe not 85, 90%, but the majority of white people are conservative Republicans in the South. So there's this history, there's this extreme political, you know, rarely a crossover vote. So I don't know, that has to fall into the equation a little bit, doesn't it? I think what you're saying is honorable, but I think it's more of an idealistic thing more than a realistic thing.
Well, again, let's deal with facts. The history is exactly as you say, but then again, sometimes the reputation is different from the reality or the recent reality. In Mobile, in the city of Mobile, for the last 5 mayor races, the member of the minority race won the mayoralty. Back when it was still a majority white city, Mobile elected a black mayor twice in a row. Then the population shifted. It became a majority black city, and yet it has now elected a white Republican as mayor 3 straight times. I could start quoting all sorts of other statistics, but the point is that the absolutely racially polarized voting that was in place is now less so. There's still definitely that trend, but the trend is not automatic anymore, which is a good thing.
No, it is a good thing. We're progressing. Where I live in New Orleans, it is a black politically run city mostly, and Republicans and conservatives are the enemy. They're the devil. They're evil. They're racist. In Louisiana, it is mostly white run, and Democrats are lazy and inefficient, broken, and corrupt. I mean, I see this where I am, and it's these extremists. Maybe it's the squeaky wheel, but there seems to be some reality to it. Ellis?
I love the optimism, but I have the feeling, Quinn, that we're growing more tribal as a nation. That we see more and more things through these political lenses that no argument can persuade anybody of anything in any direction. I think that's terrible. One of the things I love about these discussions, frankly, among the three of us, is that, each of us has our own view, but I think there's a certain amount of give and take and open-mindedness. But boy, this is becoming rare today. Go try to convince a MAGA enthusiast to change his or her mind. Good luck.
I agree that we're becoming more tribal, but I also think sort of counterintuitively, the tribalism is becoming slightly but steadily less racial. There are other, it's attitudinal tribalism more than ethnic tribalism, again, at the margins. But here's where we do agree, and I want to repeat that. If you take all of this redistricting stuff out of politics, if the politicians themselves will appoint a neutral redistricting commission like they do in Iowa, then you can have something that all sides think is fair. And I totally support that. And I would gather that you would too, right?
It would be 100 times better. And I think it's gotten worse. I don't think it's gotten better in recent times. And I would go for any rational solution. Honestly, I might even be okay with letting the computer do it. I guess there's always a question of what information goes into the computer. So maybe you need some reasonable, cool heads. But let me tell you, the state legislatures across America should not be doing this.
Well, the Constitution says they have to do this, but they can get around it by appointing a commission to do it for them.
Yeah. Where it just that's what they do a lot of time, just to keep themselves out of it and have some fair, objective group of people that don't have, some agenda.
But you do have to abide by the Constitution, and the Constitution says the ultimate responsibility is the legislature. So unless you amend the Constitution, which I wouldn't mind doing, but unless you do it, then there is some legislative responsibility for it.
Yeah, although, Quinn, let me not to drive this into the ground, but that's not the only thing the Constitution says. It also requires a one person, one vote, and a certain fairness in elections and other amendments that reflect on these issues. It's not simply that a legislature can do any damn thing they want and without any.
I didn't say
there are some other. There are other competing principles here. You would agree with that, I know.
Right, there are other competing principles, but I'm talking about who actually does it, and ultimately the Constitution says the legislature either does it or must be the ultimate decider, even if they appoint somebody else to do it for them. Right. So I'm just saying you can't escape the legislature entirely.
Hey, Quinn, always a pleasure.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
Ellis, thanks so much.
Same here. Always fun being with you all. I'm good to be with you.
Yep, love getting you guys on. Check out Ellis at Henican.com. Check out Quinn at QuinnHillyer.com. Another edition of Hillyer and Henican. What do you think of that, Blue Boy? You like that hour in general? Hillyer and Henican for about 35, 40 minutes. And what? a good 10, 15 minutes with Ann Kirkpatrick, the NOPD chief, to start the 4 o'clock hour. What else, buddy? Blockbuster 5 o'clock power hour. You're right.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson. On TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube. On radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
Hi, it's Ken Friend from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business. Come see us over on Maple Street in Uptown.
Friend & Company Fine Jewelers Breitling time, 5 p.m.
Ford F-150, #1 seller in America. What about in the USA? Let's see, what about in the world? Who sells more trucks than Ford? Nobody. It's because the Lamarck team is the real team. All that makes it happen is one goal. Everybody having a great experience at Lamarck Ford. We became #1 for a reason, because we're good. And we need to prove it every day, every deal, all the time.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com.
Here's New Orleans native son, Corey Johnson.
New Orleans City Councilman Freddie King joins us.
So I want to first say thanks for having me. And believe it or not, man, I used to listen to your show all the time driving home. So it's an honor to be on.
Freddie, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you on the program. Thanks.
The official afternoon talk show of the city of New Orleans. It's Corey Johnson on the neutral ground,
where New Orleans is heard.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot.
Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
5 generations, family owned and operated. Leidenheimer French bread.
Hi, this is Joey Helm. My dad, Bunky Helm, had a vision of a locally family-owned store serving the residential and commercial paint needs of New Orleans. I think Dad would be proud of today's Helm Paint and Decorating, and here's why. We have the best technical staff in the business, providing the best color matching service in Southeast Louisiana. Perfect matching for any color and any brand. And we'll save your colors so you don't have to save those old cans. Helm Paint offers free 2-hour delivery. Our in-store decorators will assist you on deciding what color and type of paint to best showcase your home. But most importantly, as your local independent Benjamin Moore dealer, our products provide the greatest value in the paint industry. Superior coverage, and Benjamin Moore paint simply covers better and lasts longer. New Orleans is a city of vibrant color, and no one else provides the paints of New Orleans like Helm Paint and Decorating. Visit any of our 6 locations or online at helmpaint.com.
Helm Paint, Helm Paint, let us do you right. Helm Paint and Supply.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process of a custom-made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Hillyer-Henican. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
If you can't afford the regular private investigator rate, you can pay this old guy to be your private eye.
Barnaby Jones.
Very inexpensive.
Starring Buddy Ebsen. Also starring Lee Merriweather. With guest stars.
Reruns. I didn't think so. It's not Barnaby Jones. We're not going back 50 years ago. You're on the neutral ground. Corey Johnson with you till 6 o'clock. The 5 o'clock power hour brought to you by Rouse's Markets. For over 60 years in South Louisiana. Over 60 Rouse's Markets. Now in southern Mississippi, South Alabama too. There are over 20 Rouse's in Metro New Orleans, like a third of all Rouse's right in our backyard. Best quality, best price, best selection. Tastes like home. Rouse's Markets. 5 o'clock power hour brought to you by Rouse's Markets. If you missed the 4 o'clock hour, you missed a lot. New NOPD Chief Ann Kirkpatrick joined us live on the program to start the hour. And then another edition of Hillyer-Henican, right-leaning Quinn Hillyer, left-leaning Ellis-Henican joined us live on the program. Ron Spooner is with us right now. He's with the Sewerage and Water Board. They have been ridiculously busy the last 24, 36, 48 hours as this saltwater wedge creeps its way north up the Mississippi River. Ron Spooner, General Superintendent, Sewerage and Water Board, joins us on the program. How are you, Ron?
Corey, I'm glad to be a part of the program. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Coming up for air a little bit?
A little bit. We come up for air, but our PR guru, Grace, keeps us going, brother.
Yep. No, I'm with you. Grace takes care of me. That's for sure. Hey, a lot of collaboration going on. It's the New Orleans Sewerage and Water Board. But right away, you guys are talking to Jefferson Parish, and then it's the state, and then the feds.
Absolutely, Corey. Thanks. Good question. This is definitely, Corey, a regional effort. This regional effort is composed of 4 parishes: Orleans, Jefferson, Plaquemines, and St. Bernard. In addition to the 4 parishes, Corey, we're in close communication and coordination with the state GOSEP's office, and also with our federal partners with FEMA, specifically FEMA Regional 6. So this is truly a regional effort. And one more federal partner I would like to acknowledge is the Corps of Engineers. I mean, heavily involved with the Corps of Engineers with the analysis, the technical work they're doing associated with the river. So yes, Corey, this is definitely a regional partnership.
President Biden declares a state of emergency. Those 4 parishes you mentioned, that means 75, maybe even 80% of money spent on resolving this problem will be paid for by the feds, a federal level. The initial thought, Ron, was barging in millions of gallons of water daily from the upper Mississippi River, literally the Corps barging in this water, bringing it to water plants, Belle Chase, Algiers, St. Bernard. And when you're doing 7 million gallons a day in St. Bernard and Belle Chase and 12 in Algiers, I guess you could barge it in. When you're doing 70 million a day in Jefferson, 145 million gallons a day in Orleans, you can't barge it in. Tell us about this pipeline talk and at first they were talking could be $300 million. Now we're hearing maybe $150 to $200 million 15-mile pipeline from the Sewage and Water Board plant to essentially Kenner and the river.
Absolutely, Corey. One of the things, and one, you're absolutely correct for the smaller water treatment plants in St. Bernard Plaquemines, as well as our smaller water treatment plant at the Algiers. We are looking at the process in Sewage and Water Board of barging in water via the core transfer barges, diluting that salt water if it comes up here. First, I should have said this early on, Corey. Sewage and Water Board, our water is safe in the metro for the Sewage and Water Board at this point in time. So use it as normal. That's the first thing we want to let folks know. And I should have said that at the top of the meeting. The water is safe, stay calm, and we're working as a team to resolve these issues.
And the water is safe for weeks and weeks right now. It's a minimum 2-3 weeks. The water is fully safe in New Orleans and Jefferson Parish.
Absolutely, Corey. Based upon the Corps' timeline, it may not hit the impact the Sewage and Water Board facilities to the end of October, and Jefferson Parish the same way. So we'd all say that's the current timeline now. We ask people, hey, if you believe in prayers, say prayers, because we need that water, not in the Louisiana and the New Orleans area in the Mississippi River, that upper Mississippi River Valley, that Ohio River Valley is where we need that rainfall to occur so it can help flush that salt water back towards the Gulf of Mexico. But Corey, to answer your question relative to the pipelines, yes, for the larger treatment plants, what we are looking at now, see, the pipeline is one of many options that we're taking a look at, and we're still looking at the details of how to work out the logistics. Because of the flow, the amount of water we produce at Sewage and Water Board treatment plants, as well as Jefferson Parish, it's a complicated process, to say the least. And long story short, what we're looking at is piping water upstream of the saltwater wedge down to our intake facilities so we can mix with the quote unquote salt water if it gets that way and provide that water. So again, the support at every level will be needed for funding. We're definitely working on this issue without a fact. So that's for Sewage and Water Board on the East Bank and Jefferson Parish. Since we working on a technical side, we're working closely with Jefferson Parish. They're dealing with the water intake facilities in Jefferson Parish, as well as their water intake facility in West Jefferson.
What is their facility? About 2 miles north of yours?
Yes, sir. The East Bank is 2 miles north of the Carrollton Water Plant facilities.
Yep. Ron, what are some other options besides the pipeline?
Some of the other options we looked at for a large volume is actually with large tanker vessels, not petroleum, just want to say that, but there are large ship-carrying vessels that carry sort of like frozen concentrated juice. What I read over the weekend, wines. There's some molasses. So large vessels that's carrying food product is an option. At this point, it's a long-range option because of the availability of these vessels around the world. We do have solicited support by the Federal Department of Transportation to assist us with those. So that's an option. But at this point, we are focusing a little bit more on the piping itself. Another option we looked at potential is underground aquifers. That's an outline option. There's some issues associated with underground aquifers, with water chemistry, how we mix with ours. But again, those are many of the variables that we have to deal with on a very fast pace. And that's really what we're looking at. So again, the bottom line is there is not one size fits all for these solutions, Corey.
This pipeline going to this natural sill or hole in Kenner seems like the natural option, and then even could be used in the future, and then could even be extended farther north up the river if you had to do that.
I would say it's a possibility, yes, but what we're focusing on, this federal declaration, right now, this is a temporary solution now to address the more immediate needs.
Well, now, when you say that, it would still be a pipeline that isn't going anywhere. It wouldn't be just like some hose that's temporary, right?
That's exactly correct. But what the answer to the because of the federal funding, it's a quick temporary solution that we're using now to address this problem. It's not to say, based upon once this disaster passes, that we can take a look at what could be expounded upon beyond that. But right now, we're focusing on this temporary solution via the FEMA and the federal funding to resolve this issue.
How quickly can this nearly 15-mile pipeline be built and working?
We are looking at that. We are getting information from our vendors and contractors to determine how fast it can come, number one. And then also, along with the brevity of the construction, we also is highly dependent upon the various funding mechanisms we're looking at now. So everyone wants to get paid. So everything, we're looking at all the avenues to make this project a success.
Without 10 inches of rain in a month, we've got to get about 220 million gallons of water to the Jefferson Parish and Orleans Parish plants a day.
That's correct. But I would say, as I said earlier, rain is the ultimate solution, Corey. Weather changes. It's dynamic. And again, we never know what may happen between now and the end of October. So again, I looked at the National Weather Service, some of the other weather service. So they're predicting maybe we may get some rain up in that Ohio.
Oh no!
We don't know
I
to
hope.
the extent.
I hope.
Yes. But all of that counts, Corey. So we're counting on everything.
No, I'm counting on that. I'm counting on that SIL to extend time, all of that. But if in a month,
absolutely.
But if in a month, Ron, worst case scenario, that you can't take in, you have to shut down the water intake. How are we going to get 140 million gallons of water a day to the plant? I'm thinking we'd have to. That's not going to happen. Everybody's going to have to cut back on water and things of that nature. A month from
Corey, now. Good question. One, as we said yesterday, publicly at the city council meeting, we will not shut down our intakes. That is a good question you asked, and we want to let the public know, no matter the salinity levels in the river, we have to, number one, treat and produce that water, ship it to the distribution system for fire protection. That is we have to maintain fire protection, number one. Number two, you need to use this water for your daily activities of, flushing the toilet, taking a shower.
Yep. Hey, Ron, can you hang on 1 second? I'm going to take a quick break and come back. Can you hang on 1 sec?
Absolutely, Corey.
Ron Spooner's with us from the Sewage and Water Board. Corey Johnson with you. It is the 5 o'clock powwow. Don't move. Coming right back. The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port NOLA has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live. We live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love, more. When you do something, you have to do it right. It's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com. There's a Middle Eastern restaurant that's less than 5 minutes from where Causeway and River Road meet. Lebanon's Cafe. Convenient to Old Metairie and Old Jefferson. Carrollton at Jeanette on the streetcar line. Lebanon's Cafe.
Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
Served in New Orleans' finest restaurants, Leidenheimer French bread.
When a young man comes in and they walk into our store, and you can see they're a little intimidated. last week. I saw the young man. I said, hey, what can I do to give you a hand? And he said, well, I'm here for an engagement ring, but I don't think I'm in the right place. So I got him to my desk, and within an hour, he had purchased an engagement ring, had spent $1,000, and he was treated like he spent a lot more, and I'm sure we have a customer for life. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Veterans Boulevard, where the brothers Fausto and Roland are serving some of the city's finest Sicilian and Italian cuisine. From New Orleans' first family of Sicilian and Italian cooking, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Ron Spooner is with us from the Sewage and Water Board. Ron, thanks a lot for hanging around. Real quick, about 145 million gallons of water a day used in New Orleans?
Yes, Corey. At our East Bank water treatment plant, we average between 130 and 150 million gallons a day at our East Bank plant. And then at our West Bank plant, it averages between 12 to 18 million gallons a day.
And this is a whole other show topic, but essentially, say in Jefferson Parish, for every 10 gallons of water they produce, maybe 9 gallons or so pop out on the back end. And in New Orleans, for every 10 gallons of water we produce, maybe 4 gallons pop up on the back end. Is that pretty accurate? We lose more than half?
Corey, let me answer. I don't know that exact number, Corey. What I can say is that, yes, there are leaks in our infrastructure system, especially, Corey, with our aging infrastructure system.
Yeah.
And we do have it on our website. You know, parts of our older parts of the town, our infrastructure, the water and the sewer mains have been in there 80 to 100 plus years. So again, from a life cycle standpoint of view with these utilities, Corey, you're looking at a life and a half or two. So
some are like 1908, stuff like that.
1908, absolutely. So you're going to have those leaks, and that's why it's so important, Corey, for that continuation of that important funding, infrastructure funding, to upgrade our infrastructure system, which is key to the utmost. So,
but that's the disparity. That's the disparity in the New Orleans Jefferson Parish numbers, the 145 to 70 million a day, because their system's probably a little bit more efficient because it's newer. With all that said, it's about 220 million gallons a day. If this pipeline isn't completed in about 4 weeks, which I don't see how it can be, how are we going to get 220 million gallons a day to the East Bank, Jefferson, and Orleans water plants?
So, Corey, I would say our regional team, we're working diligently to put this plan in action. That's what we're definitely working on. We're also working on a phased approach. So again, as this saltwater wedge move upstream, we're installing this potential pipeline. And again, in a fashion where, hey, I can go up 5 miles, I can start drawing some water there, I can construct another 3 miles if the conditions warrant, tie in. So it's a phased approach.
That's smart. Just stay ahead of the wedge. Hey, no, that's brilliant, because then it rains and it could stop and you don't have to keep building.
Absolutely.
You said if the saltwater wedge comes up, you guys, and there's no fresh water coming in, you guys are going to keep pulling that water in because of fire and the like. What will the saltwater do to the equipment in New Orleans at the Sewage and Water Board? And will homeowners have to shut off their water where they don't have the salt water coming into their pipes, into their appliances, into watering the yard with salt water?
One thing Corey would like to say, and to relate to the public, there are a lot of variables associated with the with salt water, quote unquote. Someone would say, number one is the salinity concentrations in that water. We don't know what that is at this point in time. The other is the duration. That's another. How long will we be in this saline state? As I would say it. Some of the projections from the Corps, based upon the drought that we've been in for the last year and a half or two, and the little to lack of rainfall in that upper Mississippi River Valley and Ohio Valley, that the duration may go to January. So the longer the duration, then the potentially more effects you may have relative to salt water. So again, and that's not with plastic pipes. So homeowners have plastic pipe, some of the newer pipes in their homes, that may not be an issue, but it's the older metal pipe, galvanized, those pipes. So that's what we're talking about, Corey.
Hey, Ron, anything we missing?
No, look, I think you covered a lot. One thing I would say before we leave is that, we're hoping for the best, but we are preparing for every scenario. And again, we want to just let the public know if there are any changes in what we do, we will let the public know well in advance, without a doubt. So that's our messaging we're doing right now, Corey. And we definitely appreciate Sewage and Water Board to relay this message out to the public.
Ron, a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. I know you guys are busy over there.
Thank you, Corey. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yep, you too. That's Ron Spooner with the Sewage and Water Board joining us on the program. Corey Johnson with you all the way till 6 o'clock. Hey, every day this program on radio, television, live streaming, CoreyTalks.com. We're on YouTube, always brought to you by the Lamarck Automotive Complex. That's right, the Lamarck Automotive Complex in Kennebra on the car corner, Williams Boulevard and I-10 in Kenner. Right on the corner, right on the price. The number one Ford dealership in the region. The number one Lincoln dealership in the state. And now, Crescent City Ford, the legendary Ford truck dealership on Jefferson Highway, under the Lamarck umbrella. Every day this program brought to you by the Lamarck Automotive Complex. And now Lamarck Crescent City Ford. Yeah, you right. Corey Johnson with you on a Thursday afternoon. If you missed the 4 o'clock hour, you missed a lot. And Kirkpatrick, NOPD chief, joined us to start the 4 o'clock hour. That was a good 10, 15 minutes with the chief. You can check that out on YouTube, Anchor, iTunes, Spotify in a little while. And Kirkpatrick, NOPD chief, to start the 4 o'clock hour. Then around 4:20 for a good 35, 40 minutes, another edition of Hillyer-Henican. Right-leaning Quinn Hillyer, left-leaning Henican joining us. And if you're just joining us, Ron Spooner was with us for the last few minutes from the Sewage and Water Board. Check yours, yeah. I see a low of 68 in that meteorology forecast. You get the 10-day forecast. I think it's a week from Saturday. 68 is our morning low. And then late next week, like Thursday, Friday, low 70s to start the day. So we're creeping out of this. Gotta like that. And then the highs are low to mid 80s instead of mid to high 80s. So you're seeing it. It's happening right in front of us. Thank goodness. That summer was harsh, especially that 4 or 5 weeks of that oppressive stuff that we've never, ever seen before around these parts. Crazy. Thursday afternoon. Every Thursday we toss a bone to this cat. Puns on both of those intended, bone and cat. Jeff Dorson joins us. He's with the Humane Society of Louisiana. Go check them out on Facebook, Humane Society of Louisiana. You go there, see what they do. They're always updating that page. You'll go to their website, humanela.org, humanela.org, and you will donate because these folks are saving animals that are stressed out, being abused, animals that are suffering. They're saving animals' lives, thousands of them. cats, dogs, kittens, puppies, horses, goats, all kind of animals, standing up for us in Louisiana because we won't do it ourselves. Jeff Dorson joins us from the Humane Society of Louisiana. What up, Jeff?
Corey, always a pleasure. I always look forward to our 10, 15 minutes every Thursday, and I thank you for that.
Was that someone barking in the background?
Yes, I'm now moving to another room because of it.
No, I heard them. They're saying promote humanela.org and have people donate. So I'm going to say that again. humanela.org. That dog at your house was correct.
Yeah, he missed his cue on the second one, but good one on the first.
Nice. humanela.org. Go there now and donate. What are you guys doing lately? What's up?
Always trying to convince and educate and inform our elected officials, especially at the local and state levels, that they have to fund animal control in their budget. It's often overlooked, dismissed as a low or no priority, to the chagrin of all of us who care, especially their constituents who are forever trying to find homes for these strays, what to do if they're hit by a car. It goes on. And so half our battle is talking to elected officials, letting them know actually it's part of their job to try and include it. If it's not in their budget, find money elsewhere. Do some legwork, some research. There's outside grants. There's federal money. There's all the foundations, but they don't seem to break a sweat on this issue. And so that's what we spend a lot of time doing recently, convincing our members to talk to them, to get them on our side. We need a bigger piece of the pie. It's often never included.
There's got to be a basic, based off of the population, per capita percentage, how much of a budget needs to go towards, like the pound, like
maintaining a shelter. Yep.
Yeah, a shelter. Maintaining an operating shelter with vehicles if necessary and the like. There's got and maybe the legislature can pass that where each parish has to make sure that percentage of their budget it's built into the budget, something that can't be messed with by legislators. That is a permanent part of the budget. No, it's something that's overlooked. It's no different from anything else that is like civilized, humane, that's part of our life. And in Louisiana, for some reason, we are terrible when it comes to shelters and pounds and taking care of animals, and don't fund it, don't care, look the other way. I don't get it. But then also I kind of do get it because we're a state that indirectly allows dog fighting and cockfighting. It's still a prolific level. So no, that it's kind of ingrained in us, but yeah, we got to start giving a beep because it's not right. And I don't know, for any of you God-fearing folks out there, which I would assume is the majority in this part of the world, what are you going to say when you're in front of your maker and it's your time, and ask you about how you treat animals and, how you overlooked it or ignored it or worse, contributed to it? How are you going to answer? So I don't know. It's pretty simple as a human being, just the slightest bit of empathy towards these animals. And
good for you. Yeah. Our legacy is important. And, do we have to answer the final question? Did we improve things while we were here? Did we give more than we took, or did we just kind of coast? And so I'm always encouraging people, be careful what you were leaving behind. Let's try and do a little bit better. In fact, let's do a lot better. So I like your question. What did we do? We're all given 40, 50, 60, X number of years. How did we use it? Wisely, or just kind of go to the parade and call it a day? But
no, you make it easy. You're the bailout. You make it easy. You don't have to go adopt 10 dogs or go give 10 hours a day of your time. You can just donate some money to Jeff, and Jeff and his crew, they'll take care of the rest. So Jeff's bailing us out. He's making it easy for us. All you have to do is donate, and it's humanela.org. That's the website. Easy to donate. You can do a one-time donation. You can have a monthly pop come out of your, checking savings account, credit card, humanela.org. Jeff, what's been going on locally, statewide? Animals in need, animals stressed out. What's the latest and greatest that you guys have been up to?
Virtually every day is a crisis here or there, but I want to let you and others know we're preparing for our annual luncheon. It's our fun afternoon for animals. The Sheridan Metairie will have tickets up and running and for sale soon. It's our chance to get together as a whole community, talk about what we've accomplished, what's ahead of us. U.S. Congressman Troy Carter will be our featured speaker. He's actually been a great advocate from the early 1990s for us. And you'll be there getting one of our awards, our Golden Heart Award, because you've deserved it. 30 years of plugging this issue where very few do. So thanks to you, we've gotten the word out. You're our biggest advocate on this platform. So you'll be up there getting your award. So I hope you invite your family and friends.
I'm getting the Golden Heart Award?
Yeah, I texted to you a couple hours ago. Yep, you will.
No, I didn't see that. Yeah, I think there's got to be a lot of people more worthy, Jeff, that are hands on the ground, busting their tail for you, that have been doing it for years, for decades, that are volunteers, not getting paid, doing the dirty work.
Well, correction. You've been with us in spirit, for 30 years. It's been a long ride, and you've helped get the word out. Remember, your reach is far greater than ours is. So for you to talk about this every week and week out, plus have your Humane May, I think it's hands down, bro. I think you had a piece of wood with your name on it.
I'll take it.
Yeah, you earned it. 30 years, you get a nice carved plaque with your name on it. Golden Heart Award. I think it's richly deserved, and you've earned it.
That's too nice of you, Jeff. Let's change the topic. Hey, okay. Yeah.
But anyway, luncheon for afternoon for animals happens once a year, every November. Tickets $35. We'll have it up and running in a week or two. Love to have people attend and see what's happening. Get involved. See what's needed. See what's been accomplished. So beyond that, it's usually how do we help all these wonderful animals up north where there are very few resources, very few shelters. So we've been having community meetings, getting people together, shareholders, stakeholders, St. James, Boyles, Evangeline, all these places need our help. That's where we'll be going. That's where we have been. And they've been somewhat successful. There's more discussion, high-level talks, more people getting involved. Rescuers are forming alliances. And so that's where we need to be, out in front and right in the middle of where the action needs to be.
HumaneLA.org to donate. HumaneLA.org to donate. Do it right now. Don't wait till later. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow morning. I'll do it tonight. Go right now. You can do it from your phone, laptop, smartphone, tablet, pad, computer, whatever. HumaneLA.org. Anything until next time, Jeff?
Just make space on your wall for November 4th in the afternoon. You're going to get a nice plaque with your name on it. Golden Heart Award. So make room on your wall, kitchen, bedroom, bathroom. I don't care, but you're going to get it.
You're the man, Jeff. You're going to get it. Thanks, man.
Corey.
You're the man. That's Jeff Dorson. HumaneLA.org is the website. HumaneLA.org. Go there now and check them out. Hey, Leidenheimer Baking Company. Boy, just part of the fabric of this city into their third century. 1896, 1900s, the 2000s. Over 125 years baking that Leidenheimer French bread that you love and doing it right here in New Orleans, never wavering, never leaving, doing it right here, served in the city's finest restaurants. That po' boy you love, you know it's on Leidenheimer French bread. I mean, it was like Leidenheimer French bread was designed for the po' boy sandwich. Think of another French bread and think of a shrimp or roast beef or oyster po' boy and trying to grab that and all the stuff flying all over. That Leidenheimer French bread just perfect for the po' boy sandwich. Heated up in the oven with room temperature butter. I can knock out like that mini loaf easy and about half of the big loaf. I got the big zip loaf. That thing's like, it's got to be a yard long. And I could knock out about half of that thing, hot out the oven, room temperature butter. It's just fantastic. Leidenheimer French bread, truly good to the last crumb. Leidenheimer Baking Company.
Insurance Agency, Auto, Home, Flood Business, 504-556-0809. Dave Miet, INSAgency.com. Dave Miet Insurance Agency, Auto, Home, Flood Business, 504-556-0809. Dave Miet, INSAgency.com.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, it's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot.
From the owners of Katie's in Mid-City and Bienvenue in Harahan, an old school deli with over a dozen specialty sandwiches. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria.
For Leidenheimer Baking Company, producing the perfect French bread is more than a vocation. It's a sacred mission. And for 5 generations, they've used the same time-honored process, baking their signature loaf with its crisp crust and delicate center, unique and still good to the last crumb. From the finest French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop, for over 125 years, New Orleans' own Leidenheimer.
You're listening to The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson.
Cotton Bowl winning coach Willie Fritz joining us on the program. Have you ever been part of a game that great?
A lot of things happen in the game. You just don't know the script. You got to adapt and improvise. You just got to keep playing hard the whole time, and our guys did an excellent job of that.
How big is yesterday for the overall future of the program?
You got to have a guy who really have a burning desire to get quality education and also be a great football player. You got to have both.
You've always have embraced New Orleans. You've been a great ambassador for the city, for Tulane University.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. My wife and I just love it here in New Orleans. And just everybody, the city's just sensational. It's a dime for a person who came up to me after game. I had tickets to Tulane Stadium. And, I've heard that a ton of times. And letting you know, that's good that we're able to make some people happy.
That's Willie Fritz joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Roll wave.
The spirit of New Orleans. It's Corey Johnson on the Neutral Ground.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
Uptown, Carrollton, Riverbend, Holly Grove, Gerttown, Gentilly, Lakefront, West Bank, Lakeview. It's Corey Johnson on the Neutral Ground, where New Orleans is heard.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port NOLA has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day. By river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Chopapulis at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans' grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process of a custom-made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Hillyer-Henican. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Yeah, you right. Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson back at you. Hey, why aren't you at Katie's right now? Katie's in Mid-City, as New Orleans as it gets. Iberville, corner Talamacus. In between Bienville and Canal Street. In between Carrollton and Doc Francis Parkway. The quintessential New Orleans neighborhood restaurant. A taste of New Orleans, big portions, great for sharing. Like Scott Craig says, more is better. More of the good things. New Orleans specialties, old school, Creole, New Orleans, Italian stuff. A neighborhood spot. Pizzas to po' boys and so much more. Louisiana seafood. A mid-city mainstay. Why aren't you at Katie's right now? Lunch and dinner open throughout the day, Monday through Saturday. Brunch on Sunday. Katie's in Mid-City. 84 degrees, 70% humidity. Feels like high 80s. I see a low of like 68. The 10-day forecast. That's about as far out as they go with some kind of accuracy, about a week and a half. Next week, about this time, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we start getting into the low 70s. Next Saturday, a week from Saturday, supposed to wake up to 68. Yeah, you right. That's fantastic. Yep, summer's about to end. We're about to fade in October. I'd say by mid-October, I'm hoping to, be watching a 11:30 Saturday morning football game and have all my windows open in the house and the front door and the side door, back door, all the windows open, breeze blowing through my house just because it's that kind of morning, like 68 degrees outside, low humidity, like don't need air conditioning, don't need heat. It's going to be like that all day. It's coming. I'm waiting for that. Got to get a big breeze blowing through the crib. Now, I've been running air conditioning for 6 months, Need a little break. No, it looks like we're going to get it, too. Hey, if you missed the start of the program in the 4 o'clock hour, you missed a lot. About 10, 12, 15 minutes with New Orleans Police Chief Ann Kirkpatrick. She joined us live on the program. You can check that out on YouTube. In a few minutes, it'll be on Anchor, iTunes, Spotify. And Kirkpatrick, NOPD chief, joining us about 5 minutes after the hour, the beginning of the program at 4 o'clock. Right after that, a good 35 minutes with Hillyer-Henican. Right-leaning Quinn Hillyer, left-leaning Henican joined us, talking about all kind of stuff, including Trump and the Republican debate, and also that Supreme Court ruling, siding with the lower court in Alabama. Alabama violating the 1965 Voting Rights Act with their congressional district maps only one of 7 congressional seats representing a black majority district when Alabama is 27% black. Following that percentage, it should be 2 of 7 majority black districts, not 1. The Supreme Court says that's the way it's going to be. And they're even taking it a step further. The Alabama legislature won't draw up the map. They're going to have an expert appointed by the lower court that'll redraw the districts, not the legislature as usual. Louisiana right now is kind of going through the motions like we always do, trying to hang on to this. But there'll be a Supreme Court ruling eventually. It'll be the Alabama ruling. And just like Alabama, check it out, Alabama, 1 of 7 congressional districts are black majority, yet 27% of the population's black. 2 of 7 districts being black would be about 27%, like right on the demographic. Louisiana's the exact same. 6 congressional districts, 1 of 6 majority black, but we're 33% black in Louisiana. That is exactly 2 of 6 districts should be black. So same ruling, and it'll probably not be left up to the Louisiana legislature when it's all said and done, because just like the Alabama one, they're not going to be able to get it done, given chances to get it done and not getting it done. So a court-appointed expert will probably redraw Louisiana's districts as well. Yeah, we talked with Hillyer-Henican, and as you can imagine, right-leaning Quinn Hillyer, left-leaning Henican had different views on this. And the kicker, Quinn lives in Mobile, Alabama, married to a Alabama girl, lives in Mobile. So knows that state, knows the story, knows it well. Pretty interesting stuff. We started the 5 o'clock hour visiting with Ron Spooner from the Sewerage and Water Board. No, the big question marks are, what are Jefferson Parish and New Orleans going to do if this saltwater wedge comes up past the water intake plants, the Carrollton Station, the East Jefferson Water Plant, what, a mile and a half up the river from the Carrollton plant? What are they going to do? I think you're going to see, at the very least, some type of temporary pipeline that will literally be parts added to it to stay north of the north of the sand wedge. And wherever the sand wedge goes, they'll keep adding to that pipe. The problem is the amount of water. See, the Belle Chase, Algiers, St. Bernard, it's, 10, 12, 15 million gallons a day. That can be barged in. And pumped to their facilities. Water won't be a problem there, even if they're fully saltwater inundated. Orleans and Jefferson are a little different. Jefferson, 70 million gallons a day. New Orleans, because of a broken, old, antiquated system where more than 50% of the water produced is lost, 145 million gallons a day. We're talking 215, 220 million gallons of water a day for Orleans and Jefferson, the East Bank intake. It's got to be a pipe. There's no way to ship it in. There's no way to barge it in, not that amount of money. So if this pipe isn't constructed and quickly, at least a few miles up the river, and adding on to it as needed, ideally the whole 15 miles to Kenner, there's going to be some problems in 4 weeks. Now, Orleans and Jefferson Parish folks that are stockpiling, hoarding water, you're screwing over St. Bernard Parish and Plaquemine folks that are driving north to get that water, that need it now. So stop stockpiling and hoarding the water. It's selfish, and it's really not right. It's not morally right at this time to do it. Corey Johnson with you on a Thursday afternoon. Helm Paint and Decorating in New Orleans, of course, for over 50 years. When you got to paint in Metro New Orleans, you do it once, you do it right. They'll steer you in the right direction. Helm Paint and Decorating, East Bank, West Bank, North Shore, Hammond, Mandeville, got you covered. 7 locations, free 2-hour delivery in Metro New Orleans. Hey, Baton Rouge, great news. Helm Paint and Decorating, 4 Baton Rouge locations are open right now. 4 Baton Rouge area locations. So when you got to paint in Metro New Orleans, or if you got to paint in Metro Baton Rouge, do it once, do it right. They'll steer you in the right direction for over 50 years. Helm Paint and Decorating. And just like in New Orleans, you capital city folks, free 2-hour delivery. Pick your Benjamin Moore colors online. Call up one of the 4 Helm Paint and Decorating locations in Baton Rouge. Get all the supplies you need within 2 hours. It'll be at your spot. Continue working. Get it delivered. Convenience. Helm Paint and Decorating. 7 Metro New Orleans locations. 4 Metro Baton Rouge locations. Yeah, when you got to paint in Metro New Orleans, Metro Baton Rouge, Helm Paint and Decorating.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
My Sittu, that's Arabic for grandmother, used to make the best football kibbe. You can experience kibbe just like my grandmother used to make, and so many other Middle Eastern favorites on the streetcar line, Lebanon's Cafe.
Being a part of people's lives, from an engagement ring to a wedding band. Before you know it, the wedding day is here and groom and bride are exchanging gifts on that day. And not too long after that, there's baby gifts to have. And I just enjoy being part of other people's family, saying, Mr. Friend did my engagement ring and he did my mom and dad's engagement ring. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
You're listening to The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson. What's wrong with you?
I immediately regret this decision.
Every weekday afternoon on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333 from 4 p.m. to 5:30. You're on The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson.
Did you have any problem with injuries? There was a photo of her coming off the bus, holding the phone with the...
And that was a bunch of bull. That was Photoshop, that young lady. That's social media for you. How dare somebody do that?
No, I was wondering if it was Photoshopped or if it was real.
You just got the real answer from somebody who was there.
It's Corey Johnson on The Neutral Ground, where New Orleans is heard.
Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
Since 1896, a true taste of New Orleans. Leidenheimer French bread.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore led us to you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
It's time to relax. The Woodhouse Day Spa, Metro New Orleans' premier day spa experience, now with 5 area locations. For a day of relaxation or maybe just a quick 1-hour getaway, the Metro area's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa, and now 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and our newest location in Mandeville. The Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Yeah, you right. Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson with you on a Thursday afternoon. Mañana, a Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Yeah, you're right. You know the damage. Fridays with Fletch. Fletcher Mackle will join us for a few minutes. We've expanded that segment. We not only check in with Fletch about, Saints, LSU, Tulane, and all that good stuff on more of a macro level, not getting into the fifth string punter who never sees the field, but also talk to Fletch about eat anywhere good, what's going on in your life, that kind of crap, his electric bicycle, his 40-year-old diesel Mercedes. He got rid of it. Wow. Exciting stuff like that. Fridays with Fletch. Of course, in the 5 o'clock power hour on a Friday, I love it. Frank Brightson from Brightson's Restaurant. That's tough to beat. And then Michael Heck joins us from Greater New Orleans, Inc. That's always brought to you by Latrim, the global manufacturing giant that's always hiring because they're always growing, a worldwide monster. It's incredible. New Orleans born, bred, based. Latrim.com for a full listing of positions available. What's that, Blue Boy? See you at 4 tomorrow.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
Hi, it's Ken Friend from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business. Come see us over on Maple Street in Uptown.
Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, Breitling time, 6 p.m.